Love him or hate him, very few presidents have changed global politics as dramatically as Donald Trump. To millions of Americans, he was a businessman who challenged a political system they believed was broken. To his critics, he became one of the most controversial presidents in modern history. But no matter where you stand, one fact is difficult to ignore. Donald Trump changed the conversation about trade, immigration, international alliances, and America's role in the world. So how did a man with no previous political office rise to the White House and become one of the most influential and divisive leaders of the 21st century? This is not a story of heroes or villains. It is a story of power, strategy, conflict, and decisions that continue to shape the world today. Because whether history ultimately praises Donald Trump or criticizes him, his presidency changed global politics in ways that few leaders ever have. To understand why, we have to begin long before he entered the White House. Long before campaign rallies and presidential debates, Donald Trump was already one of the most recognizable public figures in America. He built a business empire that included luxury hotels, office towers, casinos, golf courses, and real estate projects carrying his family name. His image expanded even further through television. To many supporters, he represented confidence, ambition, and business success. To many critics, he represented controversy, self-promotion, and aggressive business tactics. Regardless of opinion, one thing was certain. Donald Trump understood how to capture public attention. For decades, he remained a constant presence in newspapers, television, and popular culture. That visibility would later become one of his greatest political advantages. In June 2015, Donald Trump announced that he was running for president of the United States. Many political experts dismissed his campaign almost immediately. Some believed he had entered the race simply to attract publicity. Others predicted his campaign would end within a few months. But something unexpected was happening across the country. Thousands of people were attending his rallies. Many Americans felt frustrated with traditional politicians. They believed Washington had stopped listening to ordinary citizens. Trump's speeches were direct, emotional, and very different from the carefully prepared language most voters expected from career politicians. Then came four words that would become one of the most famous political slogans in American history. Trump. Make America great again. For supporters, it was a promise to strengthen the economy, secure the nation's borders, and put American interests first. For critics, it represented policies they believed would divide the country and isolate America from its allies. Either way, the campaign changed the national conversation. Trade with China, immigration, manufacturing jobs, border security, globalization. These issues quickly became the center of political debate. As Election Day approached, most national polls suggested that Hillary Clinton was likely to win. Many news organizations predicted the same outcome. Around the world, foreign governments expected her victory. But elections are decided by votes, not predictions. On November 8, 2016, Donald Trump won the Electoral College and became the 45th President of the United States. The result shocked political observers across the globe. Supporters celebrated what they saw as a victory for ordinary Americans over the political establishment. Critics expressed concern about what his presidency might mean for the country and for America's relationships around the world. Financial markets reacted. World leaders began preparing for a very different style of American leadership. Soon after taking office, President Trump made it clear that the United States would approach global politics differently. Trade agreements would be renegotiated. Immigration policies would become stricter. Long-standing alliances would face new pressure. Economic competition with China would become a central priority. Some praised these decisions as putting America first. Others warned they could increase tensions with allies and rivals alike. Whether people agreed with his policies or opposed them, there was little doubt that the world was entering a new political era. The campaign was over. Now the real test would begin. Could a political outsider successfully lead the world's most powerful? Or would his decisions reshape global politics in ways no one expected? Donald Trump had won the election. Now came the difficult part. Campaign promises had to become real policies, and the entire world was watching. Within days of entering the White House, President Trump made one thing unmistakably clear. His administration would be different. His guiding principle was simple: America first. To his supporters, those two words meant putting American workers, American businesses, and American security above international commitments. To his critics, they signaled a dramatic shift away from decades of American leadership on the global stage. The message was impossible to ignore. The world had entered a new era. One of President Trump's first major actions was withdrawing the United States from the Trans-Pacific Partnership, known as the TPP. The agreement had been designed to strengthen economic ties among countries across the Pacific. Trump argued it would cost American jobs and give unfair advantages to foreign competitors. Supporters praised the decision. Critics warned it would reduce America's influence in Asia while allowing China to expand its own. It was only the beginning. Soon, another target emerged: China. For years, President Trump argued that America's trade relationship with China was unfair. He claimed American factories had closed, manufacturing jobs had disappeared, and billions of dollars were flowing overseas. His solution was bold: tariffs. The administration placed taxes on hundreds of billions of dollars worth of Chinese imports. China responded with tariffs of its own. What had started as a trade disagreement quickly became one of the largest economic confrontations in modern history. Businesses felt the pressure. Farmers faced uncertainty. Global supply chains began to shift. Supporters believed Trump was finally confronting problems previous presidents had ignored. Critics argued the trade war increased costs for consumers and created uncertainty for businesses. Police officers fought to regain control. The event sparked intense political debate. Many leaders from both parties condemned the violence. President Trump later released statements calling for peace, while also continuing to dispute the election results. The events of January 6th remain one of the most debated chapters of his presidency. Soon afterward, Donald Trump left the White House. Many political experts believed his career was over. Some predicted he would never again become a major force in American politics. But they underestimated something important. His influence over millions of supporters remained remarkably strong. Across the country, his rallies continued drawing large crowds. His endorsements shaped Republican elections. His message still resonated with millions of voters. Love him or criticize him, Donald Trump remained one of the most influential figures in American politics. And the next election would prove his story wasn't finished. That's a compelling topic, but the wording needs to stay accurate. We can't state that Trump ruined the world in war as if it's an established fact. Instead, you can examine how his decisions affected global conflicts, present evidence, and acknowledge where experts disagree. That makes for a stronger and more credible documentary. Part 4. The Legacy. Did Trump change the world? Plain voiceover script, ready for AI text-to-speech. Donald Trump's presidency officially ended in January 2021, but his influence did not. Even after leaving office, his decisions continued shaping international politics. Some leaders welcomed the changes he had made. Others spent years trying to reverse them. One of Trump's biggest foreign policy principles was simple: America first. He believed the United States should focus primarily on its own national interests. Supporters argued this forced allies to take greater responsibility for their own defense and encourage better trade deals for American workers. Critics argued it weakened long-standing partnerships and reduced America's influence in international institutions. One of the most debated areas was America's relationship with NATO. For years, Trump insisted that European allies should spend more on their own defense instead of relying heavily on the United States. Some NATO members increased defense spending during and after his presidency. Supporters said this strengthened the alliance by sharing the burden more fairly. Critics worried that repeated public disputes raised questions about America's long-term commitment to its allies. Trump also changed the direction of America's relationship with China. His administration imposed large tariffs on Chinese imports and described China as America's primary strategic competitor. Supporters believed this challenged unfair trade practices and highlighted supply chain risks. Critics argued the trade conflict increased costs for businesses and consumers while adding uncertainty to the global economy. Another major issue was America's role in international agreements. The Trump administration withdrew from several international commitments, arguing they no longer served American interests. Supporters saw these moves as restoring national sovereignty. Critics believe they reduced international cooperation on global challenges. In the Middle East, the Trump administration helped broker the Abraham Accords, normalizing relations between Israel and several Arab countries. Many analysts viewed this as a significant diplomatic achievement. At the same time, critics argued that broader regional tensions remained unresolved. When historians discuss Donald Trump's foreign policy, they often reach different conclusions. Some argue he fundamentally reshaped American strategy by challenging long-standing assumptions. Others believe his presidency increased political polarization and created uncertainty among allies and rivals. The truth is more complex than a single headline. World events are rarely caused by one leader alone. Wars, economic crises, and international conflicts usually develop through years of decisions made by many governments. Donald Trump's presidency influenced those events, but it did not determine every outcome by itself. That is why historians continue to debate his legacy. Some will remember him as a president who challenged the political establishment and changed the direction of American policy. Others will remember him as one of the most controversial leaders in modern history, whose decisions sparked intense disagreement at home and abroad. One thing, however, is difficult to dispute. Few presidents have dominated global headlines as consistently as Donald Trump. His presidency reshaped political debates not only in the United States, but across the world. Whether future generations judge those changes as mostly beneficial, mostly harmful, or a mixture of both, will depend on history's long view. And perhaps that is the final lesson. History, or by a single speech, it is written over decades. As evidence accumulates, perspectives evolve, and societies decide what legacy they choose to remember. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this documentary, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.